Before I bring out your headliner, I want to try a little experiment. I want to see how loud this room can get. So when I say, are you guys ready for Gilbert Gottfried? I want you guys to lose like all your shits. Just like lose every shit you have. Ladies, check your purse for any extra shits you might own. Just go ahead and lose them. Yeah, so when I say it, you guys got to lose every single shit you've ever owned. Okay. So with that being said, this next guy I'm about to bring up onto stage, you've seen him on the Comedy Central roasts, you've seen him on SNL, you've seen him in Problem Child, you can hear him on his podcast, Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast, at gilbertgottfried.com. Guys, are you ready for Gilbert Gottfried?
Nothing happened in Japan today. I'd just like to be extra careful with that place from now on. Anything at all, even a light drizzle, I don't want to talk about. If someone's sink overflowed there, I don't want to. But I should really take time out right now to apologize to the people of Japan who I hurt with my tweets. Because few people know this, but when the tsunami was hitting Japan, all of the Japanese were running to their laptops, logging onto my Twitter account. Any other group of people would have been hauling ass out of there, but not the Japanese. That down 10,000-foot waves coming at them, and they're going, how do you spell Gottfried? I don't care about the tsunami, I care about this tsunami. He's the worst thing to happen to Japan. And I was here when Godzilla was attacked. And they were trying to get them to evacuate, going, but Mr. Yakamura. That's a very common name in Japan, Yakamura, for your infamy. You go to Japan and yell out Mr. Yakamura. Everybody turns. Even the women. They go, but Mr. Yakamura, please, you have to evacuate right away. Yet they're very little, those people. I want you and your whole village to climb onto my pinky. I'll try to lead you to safety. And I'll try not to spit when I talk. But to think after all the millions of dollars worth of jobs I lost after that, the one that I keep is the Improv in Atlanta. This is the one I was praying I'd loose. I remember when it was happening, all I could think is, well, if this dark cloud has a silver lining, I'll never have to play the improv. Oh, you're a vengeful God. But you're a beautiful audience. You're a dynamite crowd. Dynamite. You're just a dynamite. And I mean dynamite in the literal sense of the word, as something that could explode, cripple, or kill a person. You're like an ice pick driven through the skull kind of a crowd.
All right.
You're like battery acid splashed in the face type of a crowd. You're like a big black rusted crowbar embedded in the eye socket. And you're there going, why did it have to be a rusted crowbar? Couldn't they have shoved a brand new crowbar in my eye socket? But it's stuck there and there's a midget jumping up and down. Like Billy Barty is on it. And while he's jumping, Gary Coleman walks by. And he goes, Gary, come up and join me. And Gary says, okay. Well, actually he goes, okay. And the two of them are jumping. And then Hervé Villages walks by. And they go, Hervé, come on up. And he goes, oh yeah. Hey, look to this little bit. And the three of them are jumping. And then that short, disgusting woman with the squeaky voice from Poltergeist walks by. And they go, hey, short, disgusting woman with the squeaky voice from Poltergeist, come on up. And she climbs up there. And she's wearing a skirt. And you don't want to look up a midget skirt. You're just going to have to take my word for this. You don't want to look up a midget skirt. I mean, you think their faces look weird. You really don't want to look up a midget skirt. Now, I know what you're all thinking. It's like, who is he to tell me I can't look up a midget skirt? Well, I wouldn't try to stop you. I'm just saying I look askance at that activity. If I caught you doing it, I'd give you my askance look. Because I hate midgets. I've always hated midgets. You know, whenever I get on an airplane, my biggest fear is that the stewardess is going to go, oh, your seat's right over there, right next to that midget. The one that's sitting on the phone book to look out the window. Then you gotta sit there and make midget conversation. In other words, small talk. Like, can I use you for a flotation device? When we take off, do I have to throw you in the overhead compartment? Because I hate midgets. Sometimes when I'm walking down the street, if I see a midget, I'll just walk over and punch him. Then I'll go, all right, yeah. Yeah, oh, you are up here. Sometimes Sometimes I'll sneak up behind a midget and spin him really quick and keep punching. Sometimes you get one of those midgets, you punch him, he falls down and bounces right back. Sometimes you get one of those midgets that tries to make a run for it as fast as he can. And I'm right behind him going, here, see how much longer my legs are? And then he starts speeding up and the sweat's pouring down. And it's like, taking my time. And then he starts running, the veins are popping out of his head. And it's like, look, I'm making brownies now. Because I hate midgets. Look, I'll be honest with you, I just do not accept midgets as people. I know people come in old shapes and sizes, but there's gotta be a cutoff point. To me, when I see a midget, it's like when you see a monkey on TV in a suit and tie, and you go, yeah, it looks like a person. But I know it's not. And I'm fine with them in the circus. You know, if they stay in the circus and squeeze into one little car that goes on, that's fine. It's when they think they could walk among polite society. You never see clowns walking up and down the street? They know they're horrified. But somehow midgets think they could pass as people. And look, I'm as politically correct as the next guy. I mean, I'll accept blacks and Asians as people. Begrudgingly. And Mexicans, I'm still on the fence about. You know, I usually don't like to reveal this, but Gilbert Gottfried is just my stage name. My actual born name is Money Hungry Christ Killer. Which I was always happy with. I had to change it when I went into show business, because I'd walk into an agent's office and they go, so what's your name, kid? And I go, Money Hungry Christ Killer. They'd always say the same thing. A little too Jewish. But you know, being up here without getting too mushy, being up here makes it all worthwhile. Anything I go through, this makes it all worthwhile. Looking at each and every one of you, knowing in another hour or so none of you will be here, it makes it... It just makes it all worthwhile. Knowing when you go home tonight you could get into a really serious car accident, it makes it all worthwhile. Knowing when you go home tonight there could be a guy waiting under the stairs with an axe, makes it all worthwhile. Knowing that afterwards your street will be cautioned off with yellow police tape. And the grizzled old police detective will be there going, in my 70 years on the force, I've never seen anything like that. 2 days away from my retirement. It just makes it all worth. You know, I read Mackenzie Phillips' autobiography. In Mackenzie Phillips' autobiography, she says that when she was a little girl, her father would climb into bed with her every night and have sex with her. This to me was mind-boggling. I can't get my daughter to hold my hand when we cross the street. We're running through oncoming traffic and she's pulling away from me and this guy's nailing his daughter. I don't know how he does it. I figure he just has more confidence. And I'm not saying I want my daughter to have sex with me. I just want her to know that Barbie dream house wasn't free. You can show some appreciation. Let me tell you, when I was a little boy, if my father bought me a baseball, I would have made out with him. And I don't want to tell you what I would have done with him for a G.I. Joe. And I always wanted a G.I. Joe. I always felt like I looked like G.I. Joe. I don't mean the handsome face and muscular body, but without our pants on, we look exactly the same. But I don't want to brag, but I once posed nude for Playgirl magazine. You don't see anything, my thumb was in the way. You know, the late great science fiction author Ray Bradbury once said, when you touch a scientist, you touch a child. And just then, Coach Sandusky said, quick, find me a scientist! Let's turn to the Old Testament. If you have the Old Testament at home, if you flip the corner pages, you can see Jesus riding a horse. And on the other side, there's a fat lady with a hula hoop. And she was good. Had the fat lady with the hula hoop gotten better management, today you'd wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, stump your toe and go, ah, fat lady with a hula hoop! Ah, you fat lady with a hula hoop! Gentlemen of the jury, I bring up my next witness. You swear to a fat lady with a hula hoop. But I always felt sorry for Jesus, though, because no matter what he did, he could never live up to his father. You figure if your father created absolutely everything, what are you going to do that's that impressive? So Christ would gather crowds together and go, I grant you all salvation. And they'd all look at him and go, yeah, that's nice. So how'd your father do it? Good? You'll tell your father I said hello, right? He knows me, your father.
They're the same.
At the Last Supper, how come no one sat at the other side of the table? Why'd everyone have to squeeze in? Don't you think Christ would have said, hey, can you move your plate over there? See, I think originally Actually, there were people on the other side of the table, but those were the ones going, you know, the air conditioner hits me right on the back. It's just as well there weren't people on the other side of the table. Would have looked stupid in the paintings to have people in like this. You know, once when I was at life's lowest ebb, and I felt like no one would ever love or accept me, I checked into a motel room in the middle of nowhere, and I was about to end it all when all of a sudden there was a glow of light, and I looked up and Christ stood over me like this. And I looked up at him and he looked down at me, and finally he spoke and said, "Gilbert, am I fat?" I said, "I don't know, turn around." Then I said to him, "Jesus," and he went, "Please." Cheese. His friends call him Cheese. On his license plate, it's a bunch of little G's in a row. That way, when you stop behind, you go G, 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 oh, jeez. I don't know who Christ has on his dashboard. For a while, it was a little hula girl. He can't put himself there because it's obnoxious. It's like, hey, you know what that is? So I said to him, "Geez, Jeezy, I feel like no one will ever accept me." And Jesus looked at me and said, "Well, you know what my feeling is? Accept me and go to hell." Then he grabbed my head and gave me a couple of nookies. And he said, "Well, I'm going to be leaving now, and I might not be back in another 1,000,000 years. You want me to do anything like end war?" And I said, "No, you're a guest. Get out of here." He said, "Let me cure all disease." I said, "No, go. And take a piece of cake with you." Take a piece of cake. I can't eat so much cake. Take a piece of cake. I'll wrap up your piece. You'll have it till I take a piece of cake. It's just gonna go bad. Why won't you take a piece of cake? You can't take one piece of cake? Once I was talking to Herman Melville, and he said, "I'm writing a book called Moby Dick. It's about a guy in a boat. You think it needs some?" And I said, "Offhand, a whale." And he goes, "What's a whale got to do?" I said, "I don't know, a whale and a one-legged sea cat." And he goes, Howard, how did the captain lose his leg?" And I go, "I don't know, the whale bit it off." And he goes, "So what you're telling me is that a tiny little sea captain falls into the ocean and an enormous whale with a gigantic mouth swims up, turns his head, and with his teeth, he nips one leg. He looks down the side and he nips one leg. He's a sea captain the size of a Rice Krispie. And a whale with a mouth the size of LaGuardia Airport. And he swims up and turns his head all the way around and just he nips one leg. I guess he just wasn't hungry that day. And how does he live after that?" And I go, "I don't know, the other sailors save him. And he goes, so he's a sea captain. He gets attacked by a giant whale who rips his leg off, and a group of sailors who don't have a kindergarten education perform microsurgery and save his life. It's true. I just saw that latest Liam Neeson film. It's Liam Neeson's 50th film where his daughter gets kidnapped. And once again, he's like, give me my daughter back. I want my daughter back. I know where you're hiding because I hear a butterfly flapping its wings. And I know what you look like because I hear an ant walking on the ground. So give me my daughter back. And give me me Lucky Charms. You know, I read somewhere that Hitler had a grandson who was a convicted child molester. Imagine being the embarrassment to the Hitler family.
No.
Is there anything worse in life than being the Hitler who the other Hitlers don't talk about? Who invented Easter? It's like we need a holiday for when Christ returns to the earth. I got a rabbit. Do you know this is about Christ returning? Yeah, stick with me on this. A rabbit. He's a rabbit that carries a basket of eggs. How is a rabbit able to carry a basket of eggs? Well, he's a mutant freak of nature rabbit who has human hands. He's a hideous freak of nature rabbit with big human hands instead of paws. And he carries a basket of eggs. This has to do with Christ, you know? Yeah, believe me. And this hideous freak of nature rabbit with human hands, but he wears a bow tie to try to counteract the fact that he's so hideously frightening. He wears a cute little bow tie and possibly a vest. And he carries these eggs, and people take the eggs and hide them, and then they find them, except for that one lodged between the couch and the wall that turns rotten and explodes. Thank you. I make one person laugh at a time. It takes longer that way, but boy, with that joke. See, each one of my jokes is made specifically for each person. They're tailor-made. I don't like to do these big group things. I like to look at each person and make a joke just for that person. You know, years ago, I saw Natalie Portman on Broadway. That is the only time I've ever jerked off to a production of the Diary of Anne Frank. I've jerked off several times to Hal Holbrook as Mark Twain. But who hasn't? He's Hal Holbrook. Don't act like you've never jerked off to Hal Holbrook as Mark Twain. It's true. You know, a lot of people have been talking, saying bad things about Bill Cosby, and I've worked with him twice, and he was always supportive of me and always nice. I remember one time being on a show with him where I just like complained I had a slight headache. And he brought me 2 pills, and I woke up a week later with my pants around my ankles. And I'll never forget what he said to me as I was passing out. He said, you know, I live in New York, and I was there when Hurricane Sandy hit. And I remember the news had been warning about it, and I kept thinking, the news is going to make a big deal out of nothing. And then I was watching TV that night, all through Long Island, Staten Island, Jersey. Entire communities were gone, houses were floating away, cars were turned upside down, and then my TV started to flicker and it went out. And all the lights in my apartment went out. And I looked out the window and New York was plunged in a mass blackout. And I stood there in total darkness with my heart pounding. And just then, the Prime Minister of Japan called. And said, "Oh, not so funny now! Oh." My girl wants to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. And my girl wants to party all the time. Now I'd like to do some jokes off my Dirty Joke DVD. Available after the show. A man walks into a doctor's office. He says, "Doctor, I don't know if my wife has TB or VD." Doctor says, "Chase her around the bed. If she coughs, fuck her." An old man goes to the doctor for an examination. Doctor examines him. He goes, "Old man, I've got terrible news. You've got cancer and you've got Alzheimer's." The old man goes, "Thank God I don't have cancer."
The aristocrats.
An old Jewish man's walking down the road. He finds a lamp. He rubs the lamp. A genie pops out. The genie says, "I shall grant you one wish." The old Jewish man takes out a crumpled up map. He unfolds the map. He goes, you see this part of the world? It's called the Middle East. There's been nothing but war and bloodshed there for centuries. I wish for you to finally bring peace to this part of the world. The genie goes, even with all my power, I'm helpless. Can I grant you a different wish? So the old Jew thinks, he goes, I've been married to the same Jewish girl for over 50 years. Never once has she given me a blowjob. I wish you could get her just once to give me one blowjob before I die. And the genie goes, can I have another look at that map? A man walks up to his wife. He gives her 2 aspirins and a glass of water. She says, what's this for? I don't have a headache. He goes, good, let's fuck! Three salesmen go to a farmhouse. They say, can you put us up for the night? The farmer goes, well, I have a nice sized bed. If you squeeze in side by side, you can sleep in it that way. So the 3 salesmen lie side by side and go to sleep. Next morning, salesman on the right wakes up and goes, wow, I had a great dream. I dreamt some girl was jerking me off. Then the salesman on the left goes, wow, I dreamt the girl was jerking me off. Then the salesman in the middle goes, and I dreamt I was skiing. Girl is lying on the beach crying. A man walks over and goes, what are you crying about? The armless, legless girl says, I'm crying because in my whole life I've never been kissed. So he kneels down and kisses her, and then he's walking away. The armless, legless girl's crying twice as hard. So he comes back and goes, what are you crying about now? She goes, I'm crying because in my whole life I've never been fucked. So he picks her up, tosses her in the ocean, goes, you're fucked now! They say this is the hospital. Your wife's been in a horrible car accident. So the man rushes to the hospital. The doctor comes out. He goes, sir, your wife was in a horrible car accident. She's going to remain paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of her life. She'll remain deformed and mutilated. She'll need 24-hour medical care, of which your insurance company is not going to cover. You're going to have to bathe her and feed her, and you're going to have to rub ointment on her when bed sores start forming. And then you're going to have to change her diapers, because she'll have no control over her bladder or her bowels. And the man breaks down crying. He goes, oh, this is terrible. And the doctor goes, I'm just fucking with you. She's dead. tattooed to his dick. He goes home to his wife. His wife says, "Stop trying to put words in my mouth." Comes home from work. He goes, "Honey, I just won the $500 million lottery. Start packing." She says, "What should I pack?" He goes, "I don't care. Just pack and get the fuck out." A little boy comes home from school. He goes, "Dad,